Hey Lynn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing so great. Thanks for doing this, by the way. I know this is like very odd to do these Zoom things, but I kind of love it. So listen, scoring a ticket to Hamilton was so hard. And I know you guys did everything you could from coming out to the streets to perform. And now there's multiple companies around the world. But what a fabulous thing that everyone will have the chance to see the show. What does that mean to you?
It means everything because obviously accessibility was so important to us, from those live ham for ham shows to the whole front row being front two rows being $10. And still, when you get a relative that calls you being like, I can't believe it's $5,000. Like, no, we're not charging $5,000. Someone else is buying our tickets and charging $5,000. So, I mean, that was really one of the reasons we wanted to film this. We wanted to capture this moment in time, capture this incredible company. And we did it ourselves. We filmed two performances on a Sunday and a Tuesday. And then filmed close-up Sunday night, all day Monday on our day off from the show, and Tuesday morning. And it is not easy to plan a film shoot while you are also performing 8 shows a week. But this is the fruits of our labor, is that now the world gets to see Hamilton with that company at that moment, almost 5 years ago to the day. And we have it. I'm really glad we got it.
What's your name, man? Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton. And there's a million things I haven't done. But just you wait, just you wait.
I know this was supposed to be theaters and this was supposed to be in a different way for you, but I actually love with what's going on in the world right now, the fact that what Hamilton stands for, the story of America then, told by America now, and where we are at in our culture, and this revolution. It just feels so great to have a show like yours available for everyone.
I know I'm really grateful that in a time when there is no live theater, we are this giant love letter to live theater and what it feels like to be in a room with a bunch of strangers sharing a musical. I'm really grateful that we're able to provide that in a big way. At a time when, the future is hazy. The 8 ball's coming up with nothing when it comes to live theater all over the world. And two, at this sort of, the thing about Hamilton is because it brushes up against the founding of this country, it hits different depending on where we are as a country. There are lines about slavery. There are lines about how little the founders did that hit different now than they did in 2016, that they did under Obama versus under Trump. Because my only real insight in writing the show was all of the problems and paradoxes and fights at the present at the founding are still here. They're all still here. That's how I was able to write about them, because I was pulling for contemporary language over the same fights. And that includes the original sin of slavery, that includes systemic racism, that includes gun control. It's not an accident that every character in our show dies as a result of gun violence. That's still a plague on our country. Because it deals with issues at the root, like, it's always going to be relevant in some form, and some things will hit differently than others.
And while we live in a country where Black people are under attack from emboldened white supremacy, police brutality, and centuries of systemic anti-Black racism, it's up to us in words and deeds to stand up for our fellow citizens.
Here's the silver lining of theaters being dark. We have a chance to address a ton of systemic issues that don't necessarily get addressed when you're just worrying about getting your 8 shows done a week. And we're building 5 companies as fast as we can so as many people have access to Hamilton as possible. We have a chance to slow down. We have a chance to talk to our company members and say, you know what, our backstage is not as diverse as our onstage, and we need to fix that, and we need to address that. Our audience is not as diverse as our cast, and we need to find ways to fix that, and we need to address that. So much of that moment is not just about speaking up the inarguable truth that Black Lives Matter, but also let's take this moment to commit ourselves to real change so that when we return to the theater, we're returning to a more equitable and just and fair theater for all of us.
The brother was ready to beg, steal, borrow, or barter.
Then a hurricane came and devastation reigned. Our man saw his future dripping down the drain.
So well said. Some good news. You were on some good news, and it was fabulous. What was it like getting everyone together? And did you have any times where you maybe didn't remember the lines?
That's never going to be a problem
you could do it in your sleep.
I've had times when I don't remember my choreography. I didn't write our choreography. But no, what was glorious about doing Some Good News was, one, John is he just asks the impossible because he doesn't even know it's impossible. He goes, can you all get together? And, we had not been together as an original cast in ages. I mean, really in 5 years. And this was even I think this was even before we moved up the release. And so he just asked the impossible. And because it's John and his heart is pure, you just say, yeah, we'll figure out how to do it. And we called everyone and everyone was game. And the joy of just even doing this press is like, we still are feeding off the good energy of that mitzvah of doing that good work for John's show.
Little Mermaid, we're so excited. In the Heights, we're so excited. Any surprises?
There are new songs for Little Mermaid. Halle Bailey is going to be such an incredible Ariel. Getting to write music for these characters that are probably the reason I started writing musicals in the first place. It was actually easier than I thought. The hardest part was my own intimidation in working with Alan Menken, and that was entirely self-imposed. But when it came to how these characters speak and what they say, I've known that all my life. So that was a joy. And then the timeline worked out the way it did for whatever reason it did, but I'm so excited that you're going to see Anthony Ramos first in Hamilton, then you're going to see him be a big old movie star in the Heights next summer, hopefully in a theater where we can share popcorn and nachos and wave Puerto Rican and Dominican flags in the air.